I know only love. This is my passion. An echo of timelessness. Art in application.
Hey guys, welcome back. We are playing Jhin today. Super fun AD carry with a very unique playstyle. So his passive, he's able to auto attack 4 times and then he has to reload before he can auto attack again. And that last auto attack is going to deal bonus damage. It's always going to crit and it deals bonus damage based on the target's missing health. So this is a powerful zoning tool that you have every single time that 4th auto attack is up. So whenever it is ready, then you can walk up and play a bit more aggressive, trying to zone the enemy champion away. And if they're going to tank that auto attack, then they're going to take a lot of damage. And then his passive, so he also converts crit chance and attack speed into bonus AD. And every single time he crits, then he also gets some bonus movement speed. Your Q is the ability that you start off with level 1. The grenades that will bounce 2 additional targets, and if it kills targets along the way, like if the target dies that it bounced to, then it's going to deal bonus damage to the next targets. So if you can like aim it in a way where it kills off a couple of minions first and then hit the enemy champion with the last bounce, then it's going to deal a lot of damage. And then you have the W, so whenever you or allied champions damage enemy champs, or if they step on one of your traps, they're going to be marked, and then if you hit them with this W, then you're going to root them. So this is like your long range engage ability. You can see this mark that Seraphine has, and then if you hit her with a W, she is going to be rooted. So Jhin has some really good synergy with some long range engage supports like the Serath, because they can give this mark from long range, allowing you to hit them with those skill shots. And then you have the E, which are the traps that you could place on the ground. They will go invisible after a short delay, and then when people step on them, they're going to be slowed, and if they stay inside that detonation range after a short duration, it's going to deal damage as well. So this is very good for shutting off ganking paths. So how you want to use it is that you can place it towards the riverside, so you can kind of counter enemy junglers when they try to gank you. You can also place them in the brushes. I like to place them like this here, because if the enemy jungler comes, then they're going to be slowed, and that gives you some extra time to like escape with. So as for how you want to play Jhin in the laning phase, you really have to prioritize that 4th auto attack, because that's where a lot of the damage comes from. Really try to bounce that Q as well. Remember that 4th auto attack deals bonus damage based on missing health. So if possible, during a normal fight, you always want to try to use this as the last possible damaging ability. So always try to use this in the end when fighting, so you get like all of the other damage off first, because that way you make it so that 4th auto attack deals a lot more damage. So Jhin is actually a really good AD carry right now. He's S tier. He does well into a lot of different matchups, and he works in every single team composition. That way, what makes him so good in this meta, guys. He was also really good last season. And there we go, got that 4th auto attack in. And that is the amount of damage that you're able to do. Really make sure that you use that 4th auto attack at the end, if possible. So that Q should always go off before that last auto attack, unless you can straight up one-shot the target, because then there's no reason to like delay your damage. So we just froze this wave right here, and then we can go ahead and recall. So we actually have an interesting rune page in the inspiration tree in the secondary page, and that's because that gives us a lot of sustain. And also that time warp tonic, guys. It sounds a bit strange running that without having corruption potion, but you start off with boots and 4 potions, and every single time you use a potion, then you get some HP back instantly. And that is so OP when you trade, because you get that HP back immediately, that you get that extra power to fight with. Like, it's a really hard for the opponent to trade with you. Like a normal way to trade with the opponent is that you try to stack up that 4th auto attack, You W the opponent to root them, and then you go in with a Q auto attack, and then you back off. That's like a short way to trade with. Because Jhin has to reload every single time he used his 4th auto attack, it is not a champion that's strong in extended fights. He wants to go for short fights or fights where he can like kite people, go in and out. But if you go in extended fights against something like a Vayne for example or a Kai'Sa, you're going to lose straight up, if you're even, that is. Because that is not where Jhin is strong. He's very strong when he can go for short trades because he has a lot of burst damage, and he's also really good at kiting people because of all that bonus movement speed he's getting. Now he's really good in lane, but he's also vulnerable to ganks because he does not have real mobility, he does not have any dashes. That is of course going to be solved when we get the Gale Force, but onto that you are left pretty immobile if you do not have your flash up. So it's very important that you have proper vision and also make sure that you abuse those traps that you have. So even if the enemy jungler comes, they're gonna step on those traps and they'll be slowed, giving you enough time to escape. Now that we have that ultimate up, so you can become a real sniper, you also have a couple shots with that ultimate, with the last one dealing bonus damage as usual, because the 4th damaging tool on Jhin is always going to deal bonus damage. This ultimate, every shot you take is going to slow the opponent as well, with the last one of course dealing that extra bit of bonus damage. This is very good to catch people who are trying to run away, but this is also really good if you want to engage the fights for your team. Like you see somebody overextended and you have like an assassin or somebody who can engage, then you can press that ultimate, hit them with the shots because it will slow them, which should allow your teammates to catch up and finish off the target. You can play really aggressive in the lane, but it really depends on the support, because early game, when you play AD carry, the laning phase is dictated by the support. They control the laning phase, so if they're not playing that aggressive, if they're just staying back, then of course you cannot do much, but he's also able to play aggressive if you pair him up with the right support. But just stay back here. If you're low HP, then of course just back off. No risk or no reason to risk dying just to get a couple minions. Just get out of here. You get boots early on Jhin, makes him really mobile, and that's especially good if you play into heavy skill shot matchups, because it becomes a lot easier for you to like maneuver around and dodge all of the abilities. Also do remember that your ultimate, like every single cast on it has like a static cooldown of 1 second, so there's like 1 second between each shot. And then it will also reveal them. It is not true sight though, meaning that if the target is using true invisibility, then it will not reveal them, but otherwise it will. And you can also combine this with the blue orb, the blue trinket, because if you use it during your ultimate animation, it is not going to cancel it out. So that can really help you get some long range vision, so you can like get an easier time to hit the targets. And that last shot with the ultimate is going to deal bonus damage based on missing health. And of course also critting, just like that 4th auto attack. So that is something that's going to deal a ton of damage if you can manage to get the target to low HP before using it. So you can play really aggressive, so it's a champion that works with a lot of different supports. If you have something like Alistar or Leona, you can play really aggressive. If you have something like a Sarah support, then you can also play the poke playstyle. So it's a champion that works with a lot of different supports. Like he has really great synergy with all of them, and he's a pretty good blind pick as well because he has a lot of good matchups. Like he can do well into most lanes. But really try to like walk up and play aggressive. When your 4th auto attack is up, the opponent might back off when they see it. They should be backing off unless they're like super fat or way stronger. Because when they back off, even if you don't get that auto attack off, you can still like zone them away from the minions. So it's important that you abuse like this temporary power spike that you get every single time that 4th auto attack is up. And try be patient with your W. It is a skill shot, and there's also short delay to it before it comes out. So if the opponent has enough movement speed, they can easily dodge it. So try to be patient and try to time it with your teammate's CC. In this case, it will be really easy to hit the W with Zillion's Qs, like his bombs. Because when he hits 2 of them, he's going to stun the opponent, and then you can follow up with a W afterwards for some extra CC and a guaranteed root. So our jungler died with his flash up, of course a bit unfortunate. We still don't have enough gold for the Gale Force, but that is the one and only mythic item on Jhin. It has really great synergy, and of course that active also works as a finisher towards their 4th auto attack, where you can like use the active, then Q, and then 4th auto attack, and bam, that's a lot of burst damage. And at the same time, it also gives him that extra mobility that he desperately needs. Stack up the traps so you have some really good vision. Super important, guys. He is immobile, so if you get caught by like a talon or something and you don't have your flash up, then you're dead. Super important that you use those traps properly. You can use them to like cut off escape paths or jungle paths, incoming ganks and so on. And you can even place them like right behind you, so if you think that somebody's trying to all in you, then you have that extra safety tool. And of course they also give some really nice vision, so you can also use those so you don't have to face check because people might be camping in brushes and such. You can also use your W to check it because it has that extra sound effect when it hits people. Like it can hit all of the minions, but when it hits the champion then it stops, and then you hear this extra sound effect and animation as well. So you can also use that W to check brushes with. Now we got that Gale Force, that of course, as I said early on, the one and only mythic item on Jhin. It has really great synergy, it gives a lot of mobility with the active. And even better, it has really great synergy with that 4th auto attack damage that deals extra bonus damage based on missing health. Like when you trade with people, you get that last auto attack ready. Use Gale Force towards them so you can like gap close. And then use your Q, follow with the W, and then that last auto attack as a finisher, and that should most of the time be enough if it's a squishy target. Jhin is one of those few AD carries who can get an insane amount of AD in the later stages of the game because he converts, or like he gets bonus AD based on crit chance as well as attack speed. So you will have extremely high AD numbers in the later stages of the game. So that also means that once you have your items, then every single auto attack is going to hit like a truck. And when you have the rapid fire cannon, guys, you get that extra auto attack range. That's when you can really start poking people, you know, move in and out of fights, playing around that rapid fire cannon passive. And just gonna straight up nuke people with every single auto attack. You see that damage from that ultimate is absolutely insane. Really hard to escape from it if they're within range, guys, because every single shot is going to show people. But you have to be really good at predicting the opponent and how they're going to move, because it is a skill shot. Like your W is a skill shot, your ultimate is a skill shot, so you have to be really good with predicting movements. So the next item, of course, another core component is the collector. That of course also has great synergy with Jhin, and you also get some really nice lethality. Serrated Dirk is so OP in the early game, especially in the bot lane, because AD carries are not getting armor in the early stages. Like, it's very rare that a squishy target is going to get a lot of armor during the early game. So this item becomes extremely OP with that flat armor pen, meaning that you're gonna completely shred targets. And it starts becoming a lot more fun as you have like 2 or 3 items on Jhin, because then you get a lot more crits from your auto attacks, meaning that every single time you crit you also get some bonus movement speed, so you become a lot better at kiting. Remember, this is a champion that wants to take short trades, or he wants to go in and out of fights. He does not want to go for extended trades, because he has that reloading animation, meaning that if you try to like 1 versus 1 a hyper carry, you're gonna lose it. The short trades are what you want to go for, and then of course you can go all in when the target is low HP or when you know that you can win the fight. That's a really cool trick that you can do on Jhin. So when your 4th auto attack is up, guys, and you have your Q ready, when you have it up, then the opponent is going to back off, right? So what you can do is that when the 4th auto attack is up, you just Q a minion randomly, because it looks like you're going to use that 4th auto attack on the minion instead. So when the opponent see you queuing the minion, they think that you used that last auto attack on it, and then they're gonna walk up, and then you can hit them with that last shot. Like, it works almost all the time, especially in the start, and then the opponent will realize that you're trying to do it, but you can get some extra damage off this way. So this is very important to know. So try to do this as much as possible, because that is really going to allow you to get that free damage off that can really end up winning the laning phase for you. Because this champion is pretty immobile in the early stages, especially if your Gale Force is on cooldown. But this game we have a Cillian with us that is going to buff us up a lot, so we have really OP late game actually. Cillian is really OP in the late game, and Jhin is also really strong, because he can like he can perma buff us. So we have like perma movement speed, so we can like walk in and out of fights pretty easily. You are playing an AD carry, meaning that you don't want to FaceTime people, you're very squishy, so the moment people get on top of you, you're most likely dead, unless you have like somebody to peel you or you have your summoners up. Positioning is key on AD carries and every other squishy champion in the game, guys, extremely important, especially if you want to be good at the AD carry role. So like when people try to chase you, try to weave in those auto attacks, and pray that they will crit, because if they do, you get some extra bonus movement speed that you can use to kite with. That's what you want to do on Jhin, and also make use of your W, the root, because that can also buy you some time to like escape or even to chase people. I got that tower in the bot lane. Mid game pretty much started, so what you do at this point, usually you want to go mid. Mid lane is safer for you, and then you want to let your mid laner go to the side lanes. Now we got that collector, that's another big power spike, really OP in the early game, gives you a lot of the stats that you need, and also that execution passive works great with your 4th auto attack and that 4th shot with the ultimate. So that has like perfect synergy with how Jhin wants to play. You do not want to go alone to the side lane unless the wave is pushed up in a safe spot, because if you meet an assassin, they're just gonna one-shot you and you cannot do anything about it. So you want to stay in a safe spot, usually in the mid lane with your support. Just stay back, make sure there's some distance between you and the opponent before you use that ultimate, because otherwise people can just keep chasing you and then try to kill you while you're using that ult. And remember to use that Gale Force right, you can use it for extra damage. If you do so, keep your last auto attack ready and then use that Gale Force active before you get that fourth shot in. That is how you maximize the damage output. Make sure that your Q is actually really good wave clear, but make sure that it actually kills the first few targets, because that's how you make it deal bonus damage, and that's really going to make a big difference when you want to wave clear. But you can use your Q, W and your E when you want to push out waves. You can also use your ultimate if you have to like defend from an enemy sieging, because it can clear out the entire wave. But now the next item we want is the rapid fire cannon, because that is the item that's going to give us increased auto attack range, meaning that we can constantly go in and out of fights because we have that extra range, and that's especially important if you can combine that with the last auto attack. I'm gonna get the seal here. As I said earlier on, guys, attack speed and crit chance also gives you bonus AD, and that is one of the reasons why this champion can get really high AD numbers in the later stages. Then in mid game, of course, when the team fight starts or when the fighting starts, you want to send the backline like a normal AD carry. You can stay far back and then use your ultimate if you don't want to be within range. Like if it's super dangerous for you, you can do that. But try to really time that W with allied CC, because that is the easiest way for you to hit it. So it is a champion that has a lot of long range engage. Like he's really good at setting up other players on the team. He can really help your teammates from afar. He does not need to be close in order to be useful. You can also build other items like the Serpent's Fang. That's something you only want to do if they have a lot of shielding and no one else can build it. Like if they have a Lulu, for example, Karma and such, and no one else can get the Serpent's Fang, then you can build it. But you really prefer to get the core items, you know, the items we already have, and stuff like the Lord Dominic's, the Infinity Edge, because that is what's really going to amplify the damage. And if they have like a heavy tank or bruiser team, you can already get the Lord Dominic's as your second item. As soon as you finish boots and your mythic item, then you can go for the Lord Dominic's. That also works, and that's actually done very often. Now we can get the rapid fire cannon. Make sure that you always farm up though. The only way you can like stay up in farm is that you constantly go to silence as well, just to pick up the waves, and then you go back to the mid lane. You don't want to stay in the silence, because then somebody's going to come to kill you, and you're not good in a 1 versus 1 unless you're super far ahead or you're way stronger than the opponent. Most of the time, if the enemy mid laner is there, you do not want to fight them. But we have a big spike right now, almost sitting at 480. That's going to get a lot higher as we get items like the Infinity Edge or the Lord Dominic's. But right now, that extra range you get that on that auto attack, guys, is absolutely huge, because when you get that auto attack in, you're also going to mark the target, and then you can root them with your W, so you can like chase people. So it makes it a lot easier for you to chase down people.
Before the curtain goes up, each will be like dance.
And because you don't really build any lifesteal items on Jhin, that is the reason why we have Legend Bloodline in the precision tree, because they give you all the sustain that we need. We are sitting at a big spike right now, so Jhin is really strong at this point in the game, meaning that you really want to look for fights, you want to abuse your lead that you have, and you want to stay mid lane as much as possible. And when you have the traps up, guys, In the mid game, try to place them around the objectives. Use them at entrances, so when people step on them, they're going to be marked, allowing you to get a free W root off, or you can like zone them away. So make sure that you use those traps properly and don't just waste them, all of them in the mid lane. Place them around entrances because it is really going to slow the opponent, and it can also allow you to get away for free. Just keep pushing, you want to stay with your team as much as possible. It is not a hyper carry. Like, he has a lot of damage in the late game, but it is not a hyper carry. He does not want extended fights. You don't want to be alone anywhere on the map because you're also immobile. He has like a playstyle of a typical caster AD carry. A lot of his damage also comes from his abilities and auto attacks as well. So I have two different playstyles where you can like play the typical AD carry playstyle where you walk up and auto attack a lot, or you can also stay back and try to help out your teammates through long range abilities like your W and your ultimate. So we almost have enough gold for the BF sword that's going to give us a big spike in AD. And this is the point where Jhin is really fun to play. As soon as you finish like 2 items, excluding the boots, that's why this champ really comes online. You want to like go in and out, especially when you have the rapid fire cannon, get that long range auto attack off, guys. Just like this, and then you can back off, or if you can win the fight, then you can just keep chasing. Because you also get a lot of mobility right now, because you're going to crit a lot more often. We are sitting at 60% crit chance, and every single crit is going to result in bonus movement speed, so an immobile champion suddenly becomes very mobile in the later stages. Now we can just go for the Baron, so you want to go for picks with Jhin. He's very good at picking off, you know, overextended champs, and when you do so, that's when you turn it into objectives. Like the Dragon, Baron, Elder Drake, Rift Herald, towers and so on. When you have that, that's when you push for the remaining towers, and then you try to end the game from there. But this was how to play Jhin, so I hope this was helpful. As always, thanks for watching and see you all in the next one.